Welcome back, kiddies. It's time for the latest installment of Tales from the Grid. In today's episode, we're going to discuss a game that deserves a playthrough time and time again. Today, we're going to talk about The Last of Us. We are also going to continue our countdown of our all-time favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt. We're going to pull back the curtain and reveal episode number 3.
And we're also drinking the #1 pumpkin beer from Dexter, Michigan. Today, we're drinking La Parcela. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a pumpkin beer, if you care to, enjoy this episode of Tales from the Grid.
Alright, here we go. Let's jump right into this thing. It's time to talk about The Last of Us.
Before we go too far, I just want to be called Joel for the rest of the episode, if that's okay.
Okay, alright. Here we go, Joel.
Okay, thank you. This game is a PlayStation exclusive, and it came out in June of 2013. It's 5 years old, which is crazy. A year later, it got ported to the PS4, the remastered version. That's how we played it. For being 5 years old, this game looks so incredible.
It is held up very, very well. It was developed by Naughty Dog, and so anybody who has played any of the Uncharted games maybe has played something from them that they don't even really realize. But they're a great developer, and they did a fantastic job with this game. This game was received very, very well, and it was critically acclaimed. It won numerous Game of the Year awards, but it is a game, despite its popularity, that I find myself time and time again when I bring it up to people, they'll be like, yeah, I've heard that's awesome, but I never played it. I hear that a lot.
I mean, I was in that boat a week ago. I had played like the first part a couple times, but I hadn't really gotten into it. And now I finally played it and beat it, and I want more. I'm breathing this game right now. It is so much fun. And so let's just dive in to what makes this game so amazing.
There's a lot of different factors that contribute to this game being as great as it is. First off is the perfect blend or marriage, if you will, of survival horror and action-adventure games.
Yes.
It takes some of the action-adventure elements that made Uncharted so great and applies them to a survival horror setting, which turns out to this amazing cinematic, scary experience that you have full control over the combat.
And the combat style is so awesome. It's kind of like, it's by Naughty Dog, so it's kind of like the Uncharted, but it's different, and it plays great, and it's aged so well. I already said that earlier, but I'm just blown away by how beautiful the graphics are in this game, and it's so cinematic. And just like, you'll go like out into an open field and the sun will be shining, and you'll see like the trees and the grass, and it's just so beautiful, and I just want to like stand there and be like, wow, this is gorgeous.
And for any technical gamers out there who haven't played this game, like thinking, oh, you know, it's more of a cinematic experience, you know, I maybe get where you're coming from a little bit, but you truly don't know what this game is about. There is an element of leveling things up. You can expand your character. You can build a little bit on your weapons. You can take your standard melee weapons and upgrade them.
Yeah, you can attach like shivs to them so they're instant kills, and it's so badass doing that because it's just like, boom,
yeah,
dead.
It's really so much deeper than I think most people would know going into it.
And I love how throughout the game you find like new weapons and new guns, and your inventory like slowly grows, and it's just like, oh my gosh, we have this gun now, we have this gun, we have this ability. It's just so cool. And I think one of my favorite weapons in the entire game is the bow and arrow. It's not the most powerful, but I just love one-shotting somebody in the head with a bow.
Right through the melon. You bringing that up is a fantastic point, because you can play this game in many different ways.
Oh yeah.
It's got a great stealth component. So if you like playing like more like a stealth Metal Gear Splinter Cell style of game, you can make this game that and be very, very successful. You can be patient, and the stealth kills are very rewarding. If you want to just John J. Rambo this shit and run through going crazy, resource management is a little bit of an issue probably for the first quarter to half of the game, but you can run through like a madman and just be throwing haymakers, and you can beat the game that way too. It really suits multiple play styles. We were just passing the controller back and forth, and we both played the game differently, and we were both very successful at it. And it's really neat that you can have that diversity of how you play the game and still get through the game.
Yeah, it's so sweet. You're gonna fall in love with the characters instantly, and it's gonna become so personal. I think within the first 10 minutes, I almost shed a tear. Like, it just pulls on your heartstrings the entire game. And Joel and Ellie, those are the main characters. They're both badasses, and it's crazy because Joel's probably in his 40s and Ellie is 14. They're both badasses. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. And they both kind of fill the void of what the other one's missing in their life due to everything they've been through in this apocalyptic type of setting. And to watch that relationship evolve, because at the beginning, they really don't want anything to do with each other.
No, they like hate each other, and Joel basically just has to, it's just part of his mission to get her somewhere. And he doesn't want to do it, but he needs supplies, so that's why he's doing it.
Yep.
But then throughout their trip, they bond and like they're there for each other, and it's crazy seeing the relationship develop between them.
You know, she lost her parents, you know, at a very young age, and they developed this father-daughter thing that's really cool to watch on screen, and it's just as good as watching a good movie. It literally plays out very, very well. You definitely need to check this one out. The game takes about 10 to 14 hours to complete. We grinded through it literally in a couple days. So.
Yeah, it was crazy, and there were so many moments where I thought the game was going to end too. It was like, man, it faded to black, and I was like, that would be a cool ending, but I want more. And then it'd be like, nope, keep going. And it's like, man, yes, yes, yes. I don't want this game to end. But then it finally did end, and it was awesome. I love the experience, but I still want more. But there is DLCs, which we haven't played.
Yeah, we're usually not really into that type of thing with DLC, but we might have to jump into it here.
We might have to jump into that too. And Last of Us 2 is coming out next year. And that got announced at E3, we did a video about it, but I'm even more excited for this game now that I finally beat the first one.
If you haven't played the first one, right now is the time to do it. It's literally pennies on the dollar. You'll find copies, you can find them at thrift stores, you can find them at any used game store, you can get them online for very cheap. Again, the remastered version is the ideal way to play, but it still plays fantastic on the PS3, so either way, you're going to have a great experience. And a lot of these type of games, action, adventure, survival, horror, if you beat it once, the replay value isn't really there. Now, I'll say from like a achievement and collectible standpoint, this game doesn't offer a ton of replay value, but this is my second playthrough, and it's been probably 3 years since I've played it, and I enjoyed every second of it. It was such a great game to revisit. So it is definitely a game that you need to get in your collection. If you have a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4, drop it in there.
Yeah, it's one of the best experiences I've had playing a PS4 game in a long time. I mean, Spider-Man just came out and that was fun, but this game and this story and the cinematics and the graphics and everything about it, the characters, I fell madly in love, and I'm still in love with it, so you need to get out and play it.
And the reason we're doing this series is games that are perfect for this time of year, and we couldn't have picked a better game to get us in the mood for the types of movies we've been watching, and it is just a great October game, no doubt about it. So Last of Us 2 is on the way. You've still got time to get out there, smash through Last of Us 1, and get ready for Last of Us 2, because if we had to guess, it's going to be an epic game.
Oh, I am so excited. And speaking of excited, what do you think about this beer?
Very interesting beer. I was very excited when I picked it up. It's a brewery we haven't had anything from. It's out of Dexter, Michigan.
It has a weird name. Jolly Pumpkin Artisan Ales.
Yeah. So I'd never really heard of them before. They had a few different offerings in the area we live. It was pretty expensive. It was like $12.99 for a bomber. I don't dislike it, but it is not like what I thought it was going to be. It almost has more of a sour beer type of taste. It's
very tarty. It's aged in oak barrels, so I don't know if that's what's causing it to be sour.
It's definitely helping push it in that direction.
But that's like the only thing I really noticed is this doesn't feel like an October or a pumpkin beer at all, in my opinion.
You know, the spices they're very faint. The pumpkin flavor, very faint. It's not a bad beer. Like, I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's almost, my glass is almost gone just through this episode, but to your point, it's not evoking that fall beer vibe that I hope to get from a good pumpkin beer or an Oktoberfest or something like that. That's really not here, but it is pretty tasty.
And I had a really weird experience. The first sip I took, I was like, ooh, this kind of tastes like pickles. And that's not a bad thing. I love pickles, but it was really confusing because I was hoping for a nice, robust pumpkin flavor. Yeah. But instead I got a sour pickle.
Yeah, there's something.
It was weird.
It's a very acidic beer too. Yeah. So there's definitely something odd going on. But it's oddly enjoyable. Like I'm going to finish it, no doubt about it. But I don't know that it warrants that price tag of $12.99. If you're into pumpkin beers and want to try something new, and you see it on draft somewhere, maybe pick it up.
Let's move on to our number 3 pick of Tales from the Crypt.
Number 3.
This episode we're going to talk about kicked off Season 2. It originally aired in 1991. This episode is called Dead Right. The episode stars Demi Moore and Jeffrey Tambor. So we've mentioned in prior episodes in this series, there's so many celebrities that sneak their way into Tales from the Crypt for these one-off episodes.
And it's crazy because Demi Moore is huge, and Jeffrey Tambor I recognize from Arrested Development, and those are the 2 main stars, and I was like, wow. This is crazy. And then there were people in the background that we recognized. The coach from Ace Ventura is like the bartender or the guy that works at the strip club. But I was like, what is happening? That guy's from Ace Ventura.
So this episode centers around Kathy, and that's played by Demi Moore. And she is working a dead-end job as a secretary. Not really happy with her life. She's working just basically to collect a paycheck. Many of us find ourselves in that situation. And she stops on her lunch break into a fortune teller, or a psychic, if you will, Madame Vorna. It's $20. Tell me what's going to happen in my future. And she tells Demi Moore, you're going to get fired today, and you're going to immediately find a new job. She's kind of like, okay, this is a hack, and she leaves and goes back to the office. And when she gets back, she gets shit canned.
Yeah, she gets fired immediately, and then she's walking down the street and gets hired at a strip club. So she's the waitress at a strip club, and that's where the Ace Ventura guy comes in, which got me really excited. But then she's like, okay, how did she know that? So she went back, and she's like, okay, you got that right. Tell me more about my future. Am I going to be rich? I don't care. I just want money. That's all I care about is money, money, money. And she's like, I see in your future tonight, you're going to meet a man. He's going to be gross. He's going to be fat. But he doesn't have money now, but you're going to marry him. And then once you marry him, he's going to inherit a lot of money, and then he's going to die violently. And she's like, I want money, and if he's going to die right after we get married, then I'll be a widow with a lot of money. I like it. So she goes back to her job that night, hoping to find a man to marry.
Yeah, and then, the night's going on. I think she's kind of put it out of her mind, and all of a sudden this guy walks in, and she sees him. Very large. This gentleman's played by Jeffrey Tambor. It's Charlie Marno, and he is a character. First off, he's pretty disgusting, but it's played so well. He does such a great job playing this role. And he immediately comes onto her, and it becomes very obvious that this is probably the guy, or at least she thinks that she needs to be with. And against her better judgment and her trying to resist, ultimately, she goes with what the psychic told her. She goes on a couple dates, she marries him, and she is stuck with this large gentleman.
And she absolutely hates her life. Like, when they kiss, it shows a scene of her throwing up. She is so disgusted by this human, but all she cares about is money. So that's the only reason she's in this relationship. That's the only reason they got married, is because she's waiting for him to inherit the money and then waiting for him to die so she can live happily ever after with money.
And in the meantime, she's miserable. There's a scene with him eating on the couch, laying down, and she's vacuuming. She's like, you missed a spot up. And so she's just basically in hell to try obtaining her goal. We don't want to spoil the ending for you, but you need to tune in. If you have watched Tales from the Crypt episodes, you probably have an idea of where this is going. A lot of times what one covets will end up being their own demise. So let's see what happens to Kathy. Does she get what she wants? Does she find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
I don't know. You need to get out and watch it. We'll leave a link below so you can go watch it. They're on YouTube. What do you guys think of Last of Us? Have you played it? And if you haven't, why not? Go out and get it. It is so cheap, and play it. You will not regret it. We highly recommend it. And what do you guys think about this episode of Tales from the Crypt? And we'll come at you next time with our number 2 pick. Keep gaming, keep drinking. We'll see you next time on Gaming Off the Grid.
Welcome back, kitties. It's time.
Meow. Meow.
Welcome back, kitties. I don't know what is happening. Today we're going to take a look back at a game that we eat for dessert. It's yum yum tum tum.
It's by Jolly Pumpkin Artisan Ales. It's a pumpkin ale.
We are also going to continue our countdown of our favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt all time.
Tales from the Crypt all time.
We are also going to continue our countdown of our all-time favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.